It is quadrigeminal colliculus superioris and inferioris. From each colliculus start brachium and go to thalamus, to geniculate bodies. That is all here. It is fourth cranial nerve. It start between inferior colliculus and superior peduncles of cerebellum. Nervus trochlearis. It is in dorsal. It leave midbrain in dorsal surface of midbrain. Next. Here. First of all, one again, I show you. That is rhomboid fossa, then quadrigeminal colliculus, then thalamus, clear it is. And from thalamus to a pineal body. Do you see pineal body between superior colliculus? That is this small gland which situated between superior colliculus. And from thalamus to pineal body pass habenula. And space between both thalamus, it is third ventricle. We start to draw it. Look here. That is inferior colliculus. It is superior colliculus. It is one thalamus. And it is another. Anterior part of the thalamus is narrow and has name tuberculum anterior. And posterior wide part of thalamus, has name pulvinar. And necessary to know nuclei of thalamus. Posterior nuclei in pulvinar, that is subcortical center of the vision. Anterior nuclei, it is olfactory subcortical center. Lateral nuclei, it is finished lemniscus medialis. That is why it is general sensitivity, tactile, temperature, pain, proprioceptive, because here finished lemniscus medialis. Medial nuclei, that is extrapyramidal system, and central nuclei reticular formation. Clear. Next. Some words. You know that brain subdivides into rhombencephalon, mesencephalon, and prosencephalon. Prosencephalon subdivides into diencephalon and telencephalon. And diencephalon include thalamencephalon and hypothalamus. And thalamencephalon consists of thalamus, metathalamus, and epithalamus. Thalamencephalon consists of thalamus, metathalamus, and epithalamus. And thalamencephalon together with hypothalamus form diencephalon. Diencephalon, third ventricle, and glands, hypophysis and epiphyses. That is, you prepare next time. Clear? Well, we continue. It is corpus geniculatum mediale and corpus geniculatum laterale. From inferior colliculus branch go to corpus geniculatum mediale, and from superior colliculus branch go to corpus geniculatum laterale. And that is why superior colliculus, corpus geniculatum laterale, and posterior nuclei of thalamus, all of them are subcortical visual centers. And inferior colliculus together with corpus geniculatum mediale, subcortical center of hearing, auditory center. Clear? Next, both these geniculate bodies, corpus geniculatum mediale and laterale, together formed metathalamus. It is metathalamus. Next, from thalamus, it is this part of thalamus has name trigonum habenule. From each start habenula, and Here it is another trigonum, habenula, and habenula go to pineal body. Here it is pineal body.
Epiphyses.
Epiphyses, yes, it is epiphyses. And both habenula join together with the help of commissura habenularum in front from epiphyses. And together trigonum, habenula, commissura, and epiphyses, all of the structures are epithalamus. Good, it is epithalamus. Metathalamus, epithalamus, and thalamus. Together it is thylamus. Thalamus. And space between thalamus, it is said ventricle. Both thalamus join together with the help of white matter, and name of this connection between thalamus, it is adhesio interthalamica. It's joined both thalamus. And everything what below of thalamus, below here it is thalamus, and below of it, it is hypothalamus. Look here, hypothalamus include optic nerve, optic chiasma, optic tracts, tuber cinereum with infundibulum and hypophysis, mammillary bodies, corpora mammillaria, and posterior hypothalamic region with substantia perforata posterior. All of them are hypothalamus. Now, some words about third ventricle. Walls of the third ventricle. Third ventricle is space between thalamus. That is why lateral walls of third ventricle, it is medial surface of thalamus. Next, posterior wall of third ventricle. Oh, here, look here. That is thalamus. Here it is. We make sagittal section of the brain, sagittal section. And what we can see here, it is thalamus. Here it is adhesio interthalamica. Here pineal body, epiphyses. Here commissura habenularum. Below commissura cerebri posterior, and below opening of aqueduct. That is midbrain. Here it is thalamus. Aqueduct communicate third ventricle with fourth ventricle. One again, what is on posterior wall? Superiorly commissura habenularum, then commissura cerebri posterior, below opening of aqueduct, and between these two commissura present pocket, recessus pineale, because it is pineal body. Recessus pineale, all of these structures, that is posterior wall of third ventricle. Two commissura, recessus pineale, and opening of aqueduct. Next, superior wall. Superior wall, it is fornix, and below of fornix present tela choroidea. Do you remember the same tela was in
the fourth ventricle?
Fourth ventricle has tela choroidea, and third ventricle also has tela choroidea. Fornix together with tela choroidea, it is superior wall. But in fourth ventricle, in this tela choroidea present openings. Do you remember what are they? Openings in the roof of fourth ventricle.
The lateral apertura
and
medial
apertura lateralis ventriculi quarti and apertura mediana ventriculi
quarti.
In third ventricle absent this apertura. Only in fourth it is only three openings in the brain where cerebrospinal fluid can leave brain and go into subarachnoidal space. Okay, well, continue. Fornix anteriorly continue into columnar fornices. Here it is columnar fornices. I draw it here. Columnar fornices. 1, 2. These two columns, columnar fornices, anteriorly. Between them and in front present lamina terminalis, and between columnar fornices and thalamus present opening Name of this opening: foramen interventriculare. It's communicate third ventricle with lateral ventricle. Here it is two lateral ventricles, and these lateral ventricles communicate with third ventricle through foramen interventriculare. That is anterior wall. We already know lateral walls, posterior, anterior, superior, and inferior wall, hypothalamus. That is walls of the third ventricle. And last moment, glands: epiphyses, and hypophyses, or pituitary gland. And it is pineal body. Do you know function of epiphyses? It produced hormones or mediators. They are serotonin and melatonin, which regulate what?
Body rhythms, circadian clock.
Okay, good. Why? Because look here, pineal body, it's joined with the help of habenula with posterior part of thalamus, and this posterior part, it is subcortical center of vision. It stimulate on the light, and it's inhibit into night. Well, clear it is, and this changes white and black day and night. It's stimulate or inhibit epiphyses and change sleeping and waking. Yes. That is and also function of epiphysis. It produced anti-gonadotropic hormone, which inhibit sexual development of the human body. That is epiphysis. And hypophysis. It's it is hypophysis, and it is hypothalamus. And I think you know that hypophysis joined with hypothalamus differ in anterior part and in posterior part. Posterior lobe of hypophysis joined with hypothalamus with the help of what? Nervous processes, axons of neurons. Here it is neurons, and axons of these neurons go to posterior lobe of hypophysis. And what is the function of posterior lobe?
To store the hormones and it has glial bodies. It also has the roots of the neurons.
Yes, it's first of all posterior lobe of hypophysis accumulate hormones. These hormones produced in hypothalamus and transport through axons of these neurons into posterior lobe. What are these hormones?
Oxytocin
And vasopressin, more better antidiuretic. Good. That is posterior lobe accumulate and then discharge into blood. Anterior lobe of hypophysis produce hormones. That is adenohypophysis. Here neurohypophysis. Here it is adenohypophysis. It produced a lot of tropic hormone, somatotropic, gonada, thyrotropic, adrenocorticotropic, a lot of hormones, and how hypothalamus increase or decrease secretion of these hormones with the help of liberins and statins. And how these liberins and statins go to anterior lobe? Through
the blood flow.
Yes. Here it is vessels, joint the hypothalamus with anterior lobe of hypophysis, and through these vessels, blood carry here releasing factors, liberins and statins. Liberins increase and statins decrease, inhibit function of anterior lobe of hypophysis. Good. Well, one again. Next time, diencephlon, third ventricle, epiphysis, and hypophysis. Have you got the questions? No? Everything is clear? It is difficult classes necessary to prepare very good, because I think one of the most difficult in central nervous system. Maybe not most, but one of the most. Please.
So this sample, how is it placed in the body? Like, what's the position in the body?
That is correct position. It is like here. That is medulla oblongata. Look downward. It is should be cerebellum. It is removed, and midbrain then, and it is hemisphere continuous. That is correct position.
Yeah.
It's your. That is mine.